I see myself as a disabled artist. I don't think it's particularly fashionable at the moment to actually attach the label of disability to myself with kind of current thinking. But I think as an artist, using the term disability is kind of very important. Whether it goes before or after the art, there needs to be kind of a relationship there. But in answering kind of your question, also, I believe that art that's kind of made by people with disabilities has kind of a unique kind of quality. So it will have for instance, I would have gone through a process of learning how to, to adapt, how to become flexible, how to kind of problem solve in a variety of kind of different ways to kind of achieve my goals, which for me was making life-size or above kind of figure sculpture. How did I get here? It's been a very, very long kind of process, actually. I've kind of had many goes at education. I've had kind of problems with, for instance, trying to wear an artificial leg that I did for a number of years, kind of unsuccessfully. And kind of originally, I wanted to be a two-legged person, but quite interestingly, I find now that I feel more whole as a one-legged person. I haven't got any kind of attachments, kind of fixtures, limitations. I use a wheelchair. I ride a three-wheel bicycle, which is all kind of part of my kind of personality. But I'm here now primarily because I lost my leg. But I lost my leg through illness. It was kind of very traumatic. I'm here now because I needed to find a way to kind of express myself initially. But expressing myself before was kind of playing football, going running, something like that, which I didn't have, and especially with the illness, I had to learn how to deal with, what I was feeling, coping with sickness, stuff like that. And so I started making art. Well, I wouldn't say I actually made art. I'd say I started drawing, started painting, and I did that for kind of a number of years. And then through kind of various experiences, I worked in after school clubs, holiday play schemes. I started working with children, and children are kind of the most creative people you can ever meet, and they all have inspiring ideas, and they all want to make really interesting stuff. So you can imagine being in that environment and having kind of very limited kind of materials. You're left with working with what you've got. So you've got to kind of be very creative. And that's how I think I started initially working with cardboard, because cardboard is an absolutely amazing resource. It's recyclable, it's cheap or free, you only need masking tape or glue to kind of fix it together, and it's kind of very immediate. So that's kind of how I started working with cardboard. On a personal level, I've managed to exhibit my work in a number of different places. I've exhibited in London at somewhere called the RCI Corporate Centre. I've been involved in a number of kind of smaller kind of exhibitions, a touring exhibition with Art Shape that went to 4 different kind of venues, and that was looking at kind of disability art. I also like the fact actually that some of my work has kind of creeped onto the net, and you can find it in a Google search, although it's not under my name, because I haven't got a website yet. but it is kind of up there, so I quite like that. Another highlight is that I've been asked to kind of run, and I have actually been running seminars, or being involved in seminars looking at kind of disability arts, or looking especially at accessible education. So schools and organisations have been asking people with disabilities to come in and talk about, you know, what they can do to make their learning environments, especially artistic environments, accessible to everyone. Well, currently, it would be fair to say I don't have a studio space. I mean, finding one of those is kind of very difficult. I would like a studio space. I'm considering seeing if I can get some funding to convert my garage into a studio. I think that can be very important. For instance, I make figure sculpture out of cardboard, and for a long time people have said, well, why are you making figure sculpture? Why are you using cardboard? What's the value in cardboard? I know you can't put cardboard outside. When it rains, it'll fall apart. And for a long time, I think the aesthetic value in art has been focused on, you know, the quality of the materials that that people use, rather than the effort that. I'm part of coming from a background where I've had a disability, is, you know, being told, you know, no, you can't work that way. You can't work. What if you're using a wheelchair? Why do you want to make something that size? You know, why do you want it to move in that way? And all these limitations that have been imposed on me. You know, the limitations, these boundaries are all the things that I want to kind of break for all the people that I work with. So that's kind of where I am. I'm kind of. Well, the major influences in my life, and especially in my artistic life, again, have been the people that I've made art with. Now, that wasn't particularly fashionable when I was doing a degree course. You know, you'd have a lecturer say to you, well, who influences you? And, you know, and if you couldn't rattle off kind of 5, 6 names of kind of artists that seemed to be important at the time, you kind of it wasn't a good thing. Those different kind of techniques that I've learned over this time, I want to kind of pass on. I want to pass on my skills and anything that kind of is important, you know, to allow everybody to achieve in art. And I think that's kind of the true kind of the true point of accessible art and accessible education, is everybody has access to it. Everybody can achieve. And this is kind of why kind of currently I'm involved with working with the schools, and I work with students who have a variety of, you know, who come from a variety of kind of different situations. Some of them might not consider themselves to be artistic. Some of them might, you know, have problems with their learning or their education. But what I give them is a way of working that will allow them to achieve.